10,000 words in English. Levels from A0 to C2. Part number 17. Welcome to the new series of the Talk English Fluently channel. In this fresh collection, I will be explaining 10,000 words that cover levels from A0 to C2. This is a vast and rich compilation of words that will greatly enhance your English language skills. Please watch the video until the end, and if you have any suggestions for improving future videos in this series, kindly leave them in the comments section. I appreciate your support through comments, likes, and subscribing to my channel. Ready to begin. Let's go! Part number 17. 500 words.
Pleat.
She added a pleat to her skirt for a better fit.
The curtains hung with a perfect pleat at each fold.
Robin.
The robin sang a cheerful song in the morning.
A robin built its nest in our backyard tree.
Befriend.
She decided to befriend the new student at school.
He tried to befriend the shy dog at the park.
Conclusion.
The conclusion of the movie left everyone surprised.
In conclusion, the experiment was a success.
Stud.
He wore a silver stud in his ear.
The horse was a champion stud at the farm.
Tan.
His new shoes were a light tan color.
She got a tan after spending a week at the beach.
Invoice.
The invoice for the repair was higher than expected.
She received an invoice for the online purchase.
Cellulose.
They used cellulose to make the biodegradable packaging.
Cellulose is a key component in plant cell walls.
Beforehand.
Please read the instructions beforehand.
They prepared the meal beforehand to save time.
montage,
She created a photo montage for her friend's birthday.
The film included a montage of their best moments.
legible,
His handwriting was barely legible.
Make sure your notes are legible for the exam.
predate,
The ruins predate the modern city by centuries.
These fossils predate the dinosaurs.
wrestle,
The kids love to wrestle in the living room.
He had to wrestle with the decision for days.
tournament,
The chess tournament was very competitive.
She won the tennis tournament last weekend.
impedance,
Impedance is an important factor in electrical circuits.
They measured the impedance of the speaker system.
reward,
The dog got a treat as a reward for its trick.
She received a reward for her hard work.
coalition,
The coalition worked together to pass the new law.
They formed a coalition to protect the environment.
portion,
A small portion of the proceeds will go to charity.
She divided the cake into equal portions.
registry,
They signed their names in the wedding registry.
The registry listed all the new members.
vodka,
She used vodka to make the sauce for the pasta.
He ordered a vodka and tonic at the bar.
greet,
He went to greet the guests at the door.
The dog was always excited to greet her.
scone,
The bakery sells delicious blueberry scones.
She enjoyed a scone with her tea.
realize,
He didn't realize the importance of the event.
She began to realize her mistake too late.
Crew.
She joined the film crew as an assistant.
The crew worked hard to repair the ship.
Padlock.
He secured the gate with a padlock.
The padlock was rusty and hard to open.
Bombard.
She felt bombarded by too many emails.
They used cannons to bombard the fort.
Equivalence.
They debated the equivalence of the two theories.
The teacher explained the equivalence of fractions.
Password.
Choose a strong password to protect your account.
He forgot his password and couldn't log in.
Averse.
She is not averse to trying new foods.
He was averse to taking unnecessary risks.
Frontier.
Space is often called the final frontier.
They explored the western frontier.
Sofa.
They bought a new sofa for the living room.
She fell asleep on the sofa while watching TV.
Sycamore.
They carved their initials into the sycamore.
The sycamore tree provided plenty of shade.
Precocious.
The precocious child could read by age 3.
Her precocious talent for music amazed everyone.
Purge.
The company had to purge outdated policies.
He decided to purge old files from his computer. The store sells a variety of women's apparel.
He bought new workout apparel for the gym.
Federate.
The clubs will federate to create a stronger organization.
They decided to federate the smaller states into one nation.
Rhubarb.
She made a rhubarb pie for dessert.
Rhubarb has a tart flavor that some people love.
Fortify.
The cereal is fortified with vitamins and minerals.
They needed to fortify the castle walls.
Outlandish.
He wore an outlandish costume to the party.
Her outlandish ideas often shocked her colleagues.
Dolphin.
The dolphin show was the highlight of the aquarium visit.
We saw a dolphin swimming near the boat.
Booth.
They set up a booth to sell lemonade.
She voted in the privacy of the booth.
Rink.
The hockey team practiced at the local rink.
The kids love to skate at the ice rink.
Ancient.
They visited the ruins of an ancient temple.
Ancient artifacts were displayed in the museum.
Blockbuster.
They watched a blockbuster movie over the weekend.
The new superhero movie was a blockbuster hit.
Thrive.
The plants thrive in the sunny garden.
She wants to see her business thrive in the coming years.
Commodity.
They traded in commodities like oil and gold.
Coffee is a valuable commodity in many countries.
Ultra.
He bought an Ultra HD TV for better picture quality.
The new phone has an ultra-slim design.
Sledge.
The children enjoyed a ride on the sledge in the snow.
They used a sledge to carry the firewood.
Governance.
Good governance is essential for a successful organization.
They studied the governance structure of the ancient empire.
Decadence.
The movie depicted the decadence of the Roman Empire.
The cake's rich chocolate flavor was pure decadence.
Palm.
She held the tiny bird in her palm.
They walked along the beach under the palm trees.
Indirect.
The path was indirect, but scenic.
He gave an indirect answer to the question.
Cognitive.
Cognitive skills are important for learning.
The test measured her cognitive abilities.
Sheaf.
They bundled the wheat into a sheaf.
He handed her a sheaf of papers to sign.
Dwindle.
The crowd began to dwindle as the night went on.
Their savings started to dwindle after the big purchase.
Grandiose.
His grandiose plans often seemed unrealistic.
The palace was grandiose and impressive.
Junta.
The military junta took control of the government.
The junta promised to restore order and stability.
Obituary.
The obituary highlighted his many achievements.
She read his obituary in the newspaper.
Whisper.
She leaned in to whisper a secret.
The wind seemed to whisper through the trees.
Equity.
She invested in the company's equity.
They focused on achieving equity in education.
Stake.
He drove a stake into the ground to support the tent.
They have a financial stake in the project.
Writhe.
The snake seemed to writhe as it moved.
He began to writhe in pain after the injury.
Ulcer.
The doctor diagnosed him with a stomach ulcer.
She had to take medication for her ulcer.
Render.
The new software can render images quickly.
The artist will render the scene in watercolors.
Kink.
There was a kink in the garden hose.
They had to work out the kink in their plan.
Characteristic.
The plant's main characteristic is its bright flowers.
Honesty is a key characteristic of a good leader.
Bass.
He played the bass in the band.
The song had a deep bass that you could feel.
Stagger.
The news seemed to stagger him.
He began to stagger after drinking too much.
Expend.
They had to expend a lot of effort on the project.
She was careful not to expend all her energy at once.
Formation.
The rock formation was millions of years old.
The team practiced their new formation on the field.
Hop.
The rabbit began to hop across the yard.
She tried to hop on one foot without falling.
Languish.
He didn't want to languish in a job he disliked.
The flowers began to languish without water.
Provisional.
They set up a provisional camp for the night.
The decision is provisional until we get more information.
Incipient.
Project is still in its incipient stages.
They noticed the incipient signs of the disease.
Miracle.
It felt like a miracle when she recovered quickly.
They prayed for a miracle to save their home.
Tack.
They decided to change tack and try a new approach.
He used a tack to pin the notice to the board.
Susceptible.
She is susceptible to colds in the winter.
The plant is susceptible to a variety of pests.
disavow,
The politician was quick to disavow the controversial statement.
He tried to disavow any knowledge of the incident.
maroon,
They were marooned on the island after the storm.
Her favorite sweater was a deep maroon color.
ballerina,
The ballerina performed a graceful pirouette.
She dreamed of becoming a professional ballerina.
holler,
He had to holler to be heard over the noise.
She gave a holler when she saw her friend.
queasy,
She felt queasy after eating too much candy.
The boat ride made him feel queasy.
cozy,
The cabin was warm and cozy in the winter.
She curled up in a cozy blanket with a good book.
mercy,
They begged for mercy from the harsh weather.
The judge showed mercy to the first-time offender.
lilac,
The garden was filled with the scent of lilac.
She wore a dress of lilac color to the party.
vacation,
She enjoyed every moment of her vacation.
They planned a vacation to the beach this summer.
extrovert,
As an extrovert, he loves meeting new people.
The party was full of extroverts who enjoyed socializing.
blizzard,
They stocked up on supplies before the blizzard hit.
The blizzard left them stranded at home for days.
cement,
They used cement to build the foundation.
The cement was still wet and needed time to dry.
subsidy,
Farmers received a subsidy to help with crop losses.
The government provided a subsidy for renewable energy projects.
structure,
The structure of the building was very modern.
They analyzed the structure of the molecule in science class.
Haze.
She walked through the morning haze to work.
A haze settled over the city, obscuring the view.
Tribunal.
The case was brought before an international tribunal.
The tribunal reviewed evidence from both sides.
Quack.
He realized the doctor was a quack and left immediately.
The duck let out a loud quack.
Buckle.
He fastened the buckle on his belt.
The bridge began to buckle under the weight.
Mercenary.
He had a mercenary attitude towards his work, focusing only on the money.
The mercenary was hired to protect the caravan.
Meanwhile.
Meanwhile, the children played outside.
She cooked dinner while he, meanwhile, set the table.
Delete.
He accidentally hit delete and lost the document.
She decided to delete the old files from her computer.
Libertarian.
He identifies as a libertarian and values personal freedom.
The libertarian candidate focused on reducing government intervention.
Pendant.
The pendant had a small engraving on the back.
She wore a gold pendant around her neck.
Lens.
She adjusted the lens on her camera to get a clearer picture.
The microscope's lens needed cleaning for a better view.
Cater.
They cater to all dietary preferences at their cafe.
The company hired a local restaurant to cater the event.
Sponsor.
The company decided to sponsor the charity event.
He looked for a sponsor for his upcoming marathon.
Micron.
They measured the fabric's thickness in microns.
The particles were only a few microns in size.
Extent.
To some extent, she agreed with his opinion.
The extent of the damage was worse than expected.
Ramshackle.
The old barn looked ramshackle and ready to collapse.
They lived in a ramshackle house by the river.
Vanish.
The magician made the rabbit vanish from the hat.
The mist began to vanish as the sun rose.
Pathogen.
Proper hygiene can help prevent the spread of pathogens.
The lab tested the sample for any harmful pathogens.
Inquire.
She called to inquire about the job opening.
They stopped by the office to inquire about the new policy.
Permeable.
They used a permeable membrane in the experiment.
The soil was permeable and allowed water to pass through.
Tome.
He borrowed a thick tome from the library.
The professor's desk was piled with ancient tomes.
Loophole.
The lawyer exploited a legal loophole to win the case.
They found a loophole in the contract to avoid payment.
Vicinity.
There are many restaurants in the vicinity of the hotel.
The school is in the vicinity of the shopping center.
Euro.
The price was listed in euros on the website.
They exchanged dollars for euros at the airport.
Atone.
He tried to atone for his mistakes by helping others.
She sought to atone for her past actions.
Expatriate.
The expatriate community hosted events for newcomers.
As an expatriate, she adjusted to living in a new country.
Taxonomy.
They studied the taxonomy of various plant species.
The book provided a detailed taxonomy of insects.
Ultimate.
The ultimate decision rested with the board of directors.
Their ultimate goal was to win the championship.
Pint.
He ordered a pint of beer at the pub.
She drank a pint of water after her workout.
Forte.
Her forte was solving complex math problems.
Playing the piano was always his forte.
Accolade.
She received an accolade for her outstanding performance.
The film won several accolades at the festival.
Scud.
They watched the boats scud across the lake.
Clouds began to scud across the sky.
Socialist.
He studied the principles of socialist theory.
The socialist candidate proposed new economic policies.
Conscience.
She made the decision with a clear conscience.
His conscience told him to tell the truth.
Paucity.
There was a paucity of evidence in the case.
Paucity of resources made the project challenging.
Tame.
The lion in the circus seemed tame.
He managed to tame the wild horse.
Crave.
She began to crave chocolate during her diet.
He had a sudden crave for adventure and travel.
Blitz.
They launched a blitz to capture the fort quickly.
The marketing blitz helped boost sales.
Abolish.
The government decided to abolish the outdated law.
They fought to abolish unfair practices in the workplace.
Lexical.
They analyzed the lexical patterns in the text.
The dictionary is a lexical resource for language learners.
Disorder.
The room was in complete disorder after the party.
He was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder.
Sacks.
The football player had 3 sacks during the game.
They filled the sacks with grain for storage.
Extinct.
Dinosaurs have been extinct for millions of years.
The species was declared extinct after exhaustive searches.
Denim.
The store sold a variety of denim jeans.
She wore a denim jacket to the concert.
Malaria.
Malaria is a disease spread by mosquitoes.
They took medication to prevent malaria during their trip.
Perspective.
The artist painted the scene from a unique perspective.
Her perspective on the issue changed after the discussion.
Garbage.
They took out the garbage every Monday.
The park was clean and free of garbage.
Cystic.
The cystic mass required immediate medical attention.
She was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at a young age.
Sweat.
He began to sweat during the intense workout.
The hot sun made everyone sweat.
Petrol.
Price of petrol has risen recently.
They stopped to fill the car with petrol.
Avid.
He is an avid reader of mystery novels.
She is an avid fan of the local football team.
Usage.
Water usage should be reduced during droughts.
The manual explains the correct usage of the tool.
Hospitable.
The hosts were very hospitable and welcoming.
They found the small village to be quite hospitable.
Camel.
The camel is well adapted to arid climates.
They rode a camel through the desert.
Rear.
They parked at the rear of the building.
The car's rear window was tinted.
Graze.
He got a graze on his knee after falling.
The cattle graze in the open fields.
Predominant.
English is the predominant language in the country.
Her predominant feeling was one of relief.
Grumble.
The workers grumble about the new policies.
He began to grumble about the long wait.
Unnerve.
The loud noise seemed to unnerve everyone.
His strange behavior began to unnerve her.
Uranium.
They discovered a rich deposit of uranium in the mine.
Uranium is used as fuel in nuclear reactors.
Portfolio.
She presented her art portfolio to the gallery.
The investor diversified his portfolio to reduce risk.
Salvation.
The lifeboat was their only hope of salvation.
They found salvation in their faith.
Rhythm.
The song has a catchy rhythm.
They danced to the rhythm of the drums.
Papa.
Papa told us a story before bed.
She lovingly called her grandfather Papa.
Cone.
He enjoyed an ice cream cone on a hot day.
The pine tree dropped a large cone.
Cuckoo.
The cuckoo clock chimed at noon.
We heard the cuckoo in the forest.
Mural.
The artist painted a beautiful mural on the wall.
The city commissioned a mural for the new community center.
Marina.
The marina was full of yachts and sailboats.
They docked their boat at the marina.
Lair.
The dragon retreated to its lair.
The villain's lair was hidden deep in the mountains.
Deliberated.
They deliberated on the best course of action.
The jury deliberated for hours before reaching a verdict.
Edema.
The patient showed signs of edema in his legs.
Edema can be caused by various medical conditions.
Abrupt.
The road made an abrupt turn to the left.
Their conversation came to an abrupt end.
Planed.
The carpenter planed the wood until it was smooth.
He planed the surface to prepare it for painting.
Wit.
The book is full of humor and wit.
She impressed everyone with her quick wit.
Eliminate.
They aim to eliminate waste in the production process.
The new law will eliminate some unnecessary regulations.
Buttock.
The workout routine targeted the thighs and buttocks.
He fell and bruised his left buttock.
Cassette.
She found an old cassette tape in the attic.
They used a cassette player to listen to music.
Trend.
They analyzed the trend in stock prices over the year.
The new fashion trend quickly became popular.
Oblivious.
She was oblivious to the noise around her.
He walked down the street, oblivious to the rain.
Atypical.
It's atypical for him to be late to meetings.
The patient's symptoms were considered atypical.
Bourgeois.
They lived a comfortable bourgeois lifestyle.
The novel critiqued the bourgeois values of society.
umpire,
The players respected the umpire's decision.
The umpire made a controversial call during the game.
uterus,
The doctor examined the patient's uterus during the checkup.
The baby developed in the mother's uterus.
revolution,
They studied the causes of the Industrial Revolution.
The revolution led to significant political changes.
marsh,
They spotted several birds in the marsh.
The marsh was home to a variety of wildlife.
whack,
The branches would whack against the windows in the wind.
He gave the pinata a hard whack.
hospice,
She volunteered at the local hospice.
The hospice provided care for terminally ill patients.
logistics,
Planning the logistics for the trip took several weeks.
The company handled the logistics for the event.
innuendo,
The comedian's jokes were full of innuendo.
She didn't appreciate the innuendo in his remarks.
phonetic,
The language has a simple phonetic structure.
They used phonetic symbols to learn the pronunciation.
agitate,
The news seemed to agitate him.
They tried not to agitate the sleeping baby.
factor,
They considered every factor before making a choice.
Cost is a major factor in their decision.
frond,
The palm tree had large, green fronds.
He admired the delicate frond of the fern.
tantrum,
She tried to calm him down during his tantrum.
The child threw a tantrum in the store.
playoff,
The team made it to the playoff finals.
They prepared intensely for the playoff game.
Elegance.
The dress was the epitome of elegance.
She carried herself with grace and elegance.
Shoal.
They saw a shoal of fish swimming near the reef.
The boat navigated through the shoal without issue.
Beacon.
Her achievements were a beacon of hope for others.
The lighthouse served as a beacon for ships.
Dilate.
The doctor used drops to dilate the patient's pupils.
Her eyes began to dilate in the dim light.
Chameleon.
He was like a chameleon, adapting to any situation.
The chameleon changed colors to blend in.
Beware.
Beware of the dog, the sign warned.
They were told to beware of pickpockets in the city.
Physicist.
The physicist explained the theory in simple terms.
She aspired to become a renowned physicist.
Fist.
He clenched his fist in anger.
She punched the bag with her fist during the workout.
Multimedia.
They produced a multimedia project for their class.
The presentation included various multimedia elements.
Chandelier.
The chandelier added a touch of elegance to the room.
They installed a new chandelier in the dining area.
Inertia.
He struggled to overcome his own inertia and get to work.
The car's inertia kept it moving forward.
Cosmic.
They studied cosmic phenomena at the observatory.
The movie explored the concept of cosmic balance.
Bypass.
The surgery involved a heart bypass.
They took the bypass to avoid traffic in the city.
Pal.
He met his pal for coffee every week.
They have been pals since childhood.
Slick.
He used a slick move to score the goal.
The rain made the road slick.
Revive.
The doctors worked hard to revive the patient.
They planned to revive the old traditions of the town.
Swift.
He made a swift decision and acted on it.
The response to the emergency was swift.
Conversely.
She loves the summer. Conversely, he prefers the winter.
The book was difficult to read. Conversely, the movie adaptation was easy to follow.
Facsimile.
The artist created a facsimile of the famous painting.
He sent a facsimile of the document to his lawyer.
Lounge.
They relaxed in the airport lounge while waiting for their flight.
She liked to lounge on the couch after a long day.
Lurch.
He felt a lurch in his stomach as the plane took off.
The car came to a sudden lurch and then stopped.
Hence.
He was late, hence the missed meeting.
The weather is unpredictable, hence the need for an umbrella.
Essay.
His essay was chosen as the best in the competition.
She wrote an essay on the impact of climate change.
Capitulate.
The enemy was forced to capitulate after the long siege.
She refused to capitulate to the demands of the protesters.
Ancillary.
The new regulations are ancillary to the main policy.
The company provides ancillary services, such as transportation.
Custard.
She made a delicious custard for dessert.
The custard was smooth and creamy.
Residue.
The pesticide residue on the fruit was concerning.
There was a sticky residue left on the counter.
Fin.
The shark's fin could be seen above the water.
The fish swam quickly, using its fin for balance.
Louse.
The teacher explained how a louse can infest and spread in schools.
She found a louse in her hair and immediately treated it.
Fuss.
She made a fuss over the small scratch on her car.
The baby started to fuss when it was time for bed.
Swat.
Cat tried to swat the toy mouse with its paw.
He used a rolled-up newspaper to swat the fly.
Passenger.
Each passenger was asked to show their ticket before boarding.
The bus was full, and every passenger had to stand.
Tortilla.
They made fresh tortilla chips for the party.
She filled the tortilla with beans and cheese.
Mercury.
The thermometer contained mercury to measure temperature.
Mercury levels in fish can be harmful if consumed in large quantities.
Attire.
She chose her attire carefully for the job interview.
The invitation specified formal attire for the event.
Midst.
In the midst of the chaos, she remained calm.
They found themselves in the midst of a lively festival.
Premier.
He was elected as the premier of the province.
The premiere of the new movie was a huge success.
Stockpile.
They decided to stockpile food for the winter.
The government maintained a stockpile of emergency supplies.
Moat.
They had to build a bridge to cross the moat.
The castle was surrounded by a deep moat.
Interpret.
She was asked to interpret the speech for the audience.
The teacher helped the students interpret the poem.
Munition.
The factory produced munition for the military.
The army needed more munition for the upcoming battle.
Classify.
Scientists classify plants into different categories.
The librarian will classify the new books by genre.
Baron.
He was known as the Chocolate Baron due to his successful business.
The baron owned vast lands and wealth.
Twitch.
His eye began to twitch from lack of sleep.
She felt a twitch in her arm during the workout.
Stocky.
He was a stocky man with broad shoulders.
The dog was short and stocky with a muscular build.
Butterfly.
The garden was full of colorful butterfly species.
She watched the butterfly flutter from flower to flower.
Duress.
The contract was signed under duress, making it invalid.
He confessed under duress and later retracted his statement.
Tailor.
She took the dress to a tailor for alterations.
The tailor measured him for a custom suit.
Duodenum.
Ulcers can sometimes develop in the duodenum.
The doctor explained that the duodenum is the first part of the small intestine.
Envoy.
The king sent an envoy to negotiate peace.
The envoy delivered the message with great care.
Starling.
The starling is known for its iridescent feathers.
A flock of starling flew over the field at dusk.
Covenant.
They signed a covenant to uphold their agreement.
The covenant between the two parties was strong.
Forbid.
His parents forbid him from staying out late.
The rules forbid any form of cheating.
Spatter.
The rain began to spatter against the windows.
Paint would spatter everywhere if not applied carefully.
Vow.
She made a vow to always support her family.
They exchanged vows during their wedding ceremony.
Shutter.
She closed the shutter to block out the sunlight.
The camera's shutter clicked as he took the photo.
Fun.
They hiked through the fen, careful to stay on the path.
The fen was home to many rare birds and plants.
Tornado.
The tornado caused significant damage to the town.
They took shelter in the basement during the tornado.
Incense.
She lit an incense stick to create a calming atmosphere.
The sweet smell of incense filled the room.
Indent.
Make sure to indent the first line of each paragraph.
The tire left an indent in the soft ground.
Brownie.
He ate a brownie as an afternoon snack.
She baked a batch of chocolate brownies for the party.
Culpable.
The jury found him culpable for the crime.
She was deemed culpable for the accident.
Schism.
Religious differences caused a major schism in the community.
The schism within the party led to a split.
Aerate.
They used a machine to aerate the lawn.
It's important to aerate the soil for better plant growth.
Couch.
They decided to buy a new couch for the living room.
She spent the afternoon reading on the couch.
Adrift.
The boat was adrift in the open sea.
He felt adrift and unsure of his future.
Glow.
The glow of the sunset was breathtaking.
The campfire cast a warm glow on their faces.
Founded.
The company was founded in 1990.
The town was founded by early settlers.
Animate.
The story seemed to animate his spirit.
The artist was able to animate his drawings beautifully.
Disconcert.
The sudden noise did not disconcert her.
His unusual behavior began to disconcert his friends.
Enmity.
Their enmity was evident during the debate.
There was a long-standing enmity between the two families.
Aggression.
The dog's aggression was alarming to the visitors.
He showed aggression on the field, but was calm off it.
Sack.
The spider laid eggs in a protective sac.
The plant's roots were surrounded by a sac of nutrients.
Defend.
They prepared to defend their city from the invaders.
She was always ready to defend her beliefs.
For.
The issue was brought to the fore during the meeting.
The golfer yelled for to warn others.
Dictum.
The famous dictum "Know thyself" is attributed to Socrates.
He lived by the dictum that hard work pays off.
Regress.
Without proper support, he might regress in his studies.
The patient seemed to regress after a brief improvement.
Manifesto.
The political party released their manifesto ahead of the election.
The artist's manifesto explained her creative philosophy.
Repute.
The restaurant is of good repute in the community.
He is a scientist of great repute.
Extravagance.
Her birthday party was an example of extravagance.
He criticized the extravagance of their lifestyle.
Temper.
She has a calm temper even under pressure.
He struggled to control his temper when he was angry.
Acrylic.
She painted the landscape using acrylic paints.
The sculpture was made from acrylic materials.
Perceptible.
The sound was barely perceptible to human ears.
There was a perceptible change in his attitude.
Undergrowth.
The hikers made their way through the thick undergrowth.
The forest floor was covered in dense undergrowth.
Leaf.
She pressed a leaf between the pages of her book.
A single leaf fell from the tree.
Paddock.
The horses grazed in the paddock.
They built a new fence around the paddock.
Hail.
They began to hail a taxi to get home.
The storm brought hail the size of golf balls.
Subcontract.
The company decided to subcontract the work to a smaller firm.
They signed a subcontract for the construction project.
Digest.
The food was hard to digest.
It took time to digest the complex information.
Hem.
She needed to hem the dress before the party.
The hem of his pants was frayed.
Laborious.
Writing the report was a laborious process.
The task was laborious but necessary.
Siphon.
They used a hose to siphon water from the tank.
He tried to siphon money from the account.
Transit.
They used public transit to get to work.
The package is in transit and will arrive soon.
Undermine.
He tried to undermine her confidence with negative comments.
The scandal could undermine public trust.
Gastric.
The doctor prescribed medicine for his gastric pain.
She suffered from gastric problems after the meal.
Institute.
The Institute offers advanced courses in science.
They plan to institute new policies next month.
Authentic.
She was known for her authentic cooking style.
The museum displayed an authentic artifact from ancient times.
Hunch.
He had a hunch that things would turn out well.
She followed her hunch and found the lost keys.
Pork.
He avoided eating pork for health reasons.
They prepared a delicious pork roast for dinner.
Involuntary.
The hiccup was an involuntary action.
She gave an involuntary shiver when she heard the news.
Whale.
The blue whale is the largest animal on Earth.
They went on a whale watching tour.
Spectacular.
The fireworks display was truly spectacular.
They had a spectacular view from their hotel room.
Interlocutor.
The interviewer's role as an interlocutor was crucial.
He was a skilled interlocutor in debates.
Conflate.
The article tends to conflate two different issues.
It's important not to conflate opinion with fact.
Zealot.
The zealot refused to compromise on his beliefs.
He was a zealot in his pursuit of justice.
Overnight.
They decided to stay overnight at the hotel.
The success of their business seemed to happen overnight.
ABC.
She watched the news on ABC every evening.
The children learned the ABC in kindergarten.
Contest.
She entered the contest to win a new car.
The contest was fierce, with many talented participants.
Dwell.
The book explores how different cultures dwell in various environments.
He didn't want to dwell on past mistakes.
Upstage.
She tried not to upstage the bride with her dress.
The actor's performance was so strong it upstaged everyone else.
Generous.
She offered a generous portion of her dessert to her friend.
He was known for his generous donations to charity.
Gymnasium.
The school has a large gymnasium for sports activities.
They played basketball in the gymnasium after school.
Courtship.
The bird's courtship display was fascinating to watch.
Their courtship lasted for 2 years before they got married.
Insect.
The garden was full of colorful insects.
She studied the behavior of a rare insect species.
Medley.
She prepared a medley of vegetables for dinner.
The concert ended with a medley of popular songs.
Orchid.
The orchid bloomed beautifully in the greenhouse.
She received an orchid as a gift for her birthday.
Terminology.
He studied legal terminology to prepare for law school.
The medical terminology in the book was hard to understand.
Tenor.
The tenor sang a solo at the opera.
The discussion had a serious tenor throughout the meeting.
Chairman.
He was elected chairman of the board last year.
The chairman called the meeting to order.
Rivet.
The mechanic used a rivet to secure the metal plates.
Her attention was riveted on the thrilling movie.
Rugged.
He had a rugged look with his beard and scars.
The hikers traversed the rugged terrain.
Overdue.
The library book was 2 weeks overdue.
She finally received the overdue payment.
Annul.
The couple chose to annul their marriage after a short time.
They decided to annul the contract due to a breach of terms.
Crust.
The pizza crust was perfectly crispy.
She scraped off the crust of the bread before eating it.
Ambiguous.
The ambiguous law caused various interpretations.
His answer was ambiguous and left everyone confused.
Courier.
The courier delivered the package on time.
They hired a courier to send important documents.
Dissect.
She liked to dissect every detail of the book for her essay.
The students were required to dissect a frog in biology class.
Carbon.
The diamond is made entirely of carbon.
They measured the carbon emissions from the factory.
Capacitor.
The capacitor stored energy for the electronic device.
The technician replaced the faulty capacitor in the circuit.
Kangaroo.
The kangaroo hopped across the Australian outback.
She watched a kangaroo feeding its joey in the zoo.
Octopus.
He ordered grilled octopus at the seafood restaurant.
The octopus changed color to blend into its surroundings.
Syntactic.
The syntactic structure of the sentence was complex.
She studied the syntactic patterns in different languages.
Astronomical.
They observed the astronomical event through a telescope.
The price of the rare painting was astronomical.
Stint.
He completed a stint in the military before starting college.
She had a short stint as a waitress during her summer break.
Wallet.
She kept a photo of her family in her wallet.
He lost his wallet on the bus.
Zenith.
The sun reached its zenith at noon.
Her career was at its zenith when she won the award.
Prairie.
They built their home on the vast prairie.
The buffalo roamed freely on the prairie.
Snare.
The hunter set a snare to catch rabbits.
She felt trapped in a snare of lies and deceit.
Fallacy.
Believing that all politicians are corrupt is a fallacy.
The argument was based on a common fallacy.
Copyright.
She obtained a copyright for her new book.
Using someone else's work without permission violates copyright laws.
Dribble.
He managed to dribble the basketball past his opponent.
The baby started to dribble on his bib.
Amphitheater.
They watched the play in the ancient amphitheater.
The concert was held in a large amphitheater.
Contented.
Cat purred contentedly in her lap.
He felt contented after a satisfying meal.
Cobble.
The old street was paved with cobblestones.
They had to cobble together a solution quickly.
Superimpose.
They tried to superimpose the two maps for a better comparison.
The editor will superimpose the text over the image.
Indignity.
He suffered the indignity of being dismissed publicly.
She felt the indignity of the unfair accusation.
Wireless.
They set up a wireless network in their home.
The new headphones are completely wireless.
Dichotomy.
There is a clear dichotomy between good and evil in the story.
The study explores the dichotomy of nature versus nurture.
Treaty.
The treaty was a historic moment for international relations.
The countries signed a peace treaty to end the war.
Peer.
She asked her peer for help with the project.
He was well respected among his peers.
Talon.
She admired the strength of the bird's talon.
The eagle's talon gripped the branch tightly.
Joint.
They enjoyed a joint effort in organizing the event.
He had a sore joint after the long hike.
Curry.
They went to an Indian restaurant to try the curry.
She cooked a delicious chicken curry for dinner.
Sesame.
He sprinkled sesame seeds on top of the bread.
The dish was garnished with sesame oil.
Decentralize.
They believe it's important to decentralize power in the government.
The company decided to decentralize its operations.
Cam.
The cam in the engine needed to be replaced.
The photographer adjusted the cam for the perfect shot.
Assuage.
The medicine helped to assuage his pain.
He tried to assuage her fears about the future.
Bygone.
The museum display artifacts from a bygone era.
They reminisced about bygone days of their youth.
Mall.
The new mall opened with a variety of stores and restaurants.
They spent the afternoon shopping at the mall.
Subsidiary.
The company operates as a subsidiary of a larger corporation.
They launched a new subsidiary to handle the project.
Scribe.
He worked as a scribe, documenting legal proceedings.
The ancient scribe recorded the events on a scroll.
Ambassador.
The ambassador hosted a dinner at the embassy.
She was appointed as the ambassador to France.
Discord.
The policy caused discord within the community.
There was discord among the team members.
Retort.
She had a witty retort for every comment.
His angry retort ended the argument.
Spice.
The market was filled with the aroma of exotic spices.
She added a pinch of spice to the soup.
Clout.
He used his political clout to influence the decision.
She gave him a clout on the shoulder for his rude comment.
Axiom.
He lived by the axiom that honesty is the best policy.
The mathematical axiom was accepted without proof.
Manure.
The farmer spread manure over the fields.
They used manure to fertilize the garden.
Protein.
He added protein powder to his smoothie.
Eggs are a good source of protein.
Devour.
The lion began to devour its prey.
She could devour a whole pizza by herself.
Query.
He sent a query to customer service.
She had a query about the new project.
Thrall.
The story held him in thrall from beginning to end.
She was enthralled to his charm and wit.
Junkie.
The tech junkie loved the latest gadgets.
He was a fitness junkie, always at the gym.
pylori,
The doctor tested for Helicobacter pylori infection.
Treatment was necessary to eradicate the pylori bacteria.
therapy,
Physical therapy helped him recover from the injury.
She attended therapy to cope with her anxiety.
monopoly,
The company had a monopoly on the market.
They accused the corporation of trying to create a monopoly.
overture,
They made an overture of friendship to their neighbors.
The orchestra played the overture beautifully.
determinate,
The plant has a determinate growth pattern.
Her goals were clear and determinate.
accommodate,
They tried to accommodate all the special requests.
The hotel can accommodate up to 200 guests.
suitor,
She had many suitors vying for her attention.
The suitor brought flowers to impress her.
milieu,
The artistic milieu of the city inspired her work.
He grew up in a rural milieu.
mortar,
The bricks were held together with mortar.
He used a mortar and pestle to grind the spices.
focus,
The camera's focus was sharp and clear.
She needed to focus on her studies.
musk,
The cologne had a strong musk scent.
They detected the musk of the wild animal nearby.
poverty,
She grew up in a neighborhood affected by poverty.
They are working to alleviate poverty in the region.
yeoman,
The yeoman worked diligently on his farm.
He did a yeoman's job on the project, handling most of the work.
format,
The show's format changed this season.
She needed to format the document before submitting it.
Battered.
The old car looked battered and worn.
He felt battered after the long day at work.
Edifice.
They admired the architecture of the ancient edifice.
The grand edifice stood tall in the city center.
Chin.
He rested his chin on his hand while thinking.
She had a small dimple on her chin.
Eternity.
They promised to love each other for eternity.
The wait seemed like an eternity.
Specimen.
The scientist collected a specimen for analysis.
The museum displayed a rare specimen of the dinosaur.
Itinerant.
He led an itinerant lifestyle, traveling constantly.
The itinerant workers moved from place to place for jobs.
Giggle.
The children couldn't stop their giggle fit.
She let out a giggle when he told the joke.
Thoroughfare.
They walked along the thoroughfare, enjoying the shops.
The main thoroughfare was busy with traffic.
Impeccable.
Her manners were impeccable.
He had impeccable taste in fashion.
Whence.
They had no idea whence the noise originated.
The treasure was returned whence it came.
Lively.
The party was lively and full of energy.
She had a lively conversation with her friend.
Parrot.
They kept a colorful parrot as a pet.
The parrot mimicked everything she said.
Loom.
The mountains loom large in the distance.
The deadline began to loom closer.
Solitude.
She sought solitude to gather her thoughts.
He enjoyed the solitude of the quiet cabin.
Unruly.
The teacher had to deal with an unruly student.
His unruly hair was difficult to tame.
Hertz.
The radio signal operates at 100 megahertz.
The sound frequency was measured in hertz.
Hefty.
He received a hefty fine for speeding.
She carried a hefty backpack up the hill.
Homely.
She had a homely charm that was endearing.
The cottage was small but homely.
Skipper.
The skipper navigated the boat through the storm.
The skipper gave orders to the crew.
Pixel.
A single pixel on the screen was malfunctioning.
The image was made up of millions of pixels.
Disenfranchise.
The laws were designed to disenfranchise certain groups.
Efforts to disenfranchise voters were met with protests.
Vigorous.
She gave a vigorous defense of her ideas.
He took part in a vigorous workout every morning.
Protrude.
The rock began to protrude from the ground.
His teeth protrude slightly when he smiles.
Disguise.
He tried to disguise his disappointment.
She wore a disguise to the costume party.
Deluge.
The deluge flooded the entire town.
They received a deluge of emails after the announcement.
Auburn.
The leaves turned auburn in the fall.
She had beautiful auburn hair.
Cis.
She called her sister sis affectionately.
Hey sis, want to go shopping? She asked.
Fleeting.
The moment of happiness was fleeting.
They shared a fleeting glance across the room.
Waffle.
She likes to eat a waffle with maple syrup for breakfast.
He tends to waffle when making decisions.
Veteran.
She consulted a veteran teacher for advice.
The veteran shared stories of his time in the army.
Spate.
There was a spate of robberies in the neighborhood.
The recent spate of rain caused flooding in the area.
Pending.
The court case is pending further investigation.
Her job application is still pending.
Endear.
His kindness will endear him to everyone.
The puppy's playful antics endear it to the family.
Satin.
The satin sheets felt smooth and luxurious.
She wore a beautiful satin dress to the party.
Multi.
She bought a multifunctional kitchen appliance.
The multicolored lights decorated the tree.
Lotion.
The scented lotion was a gift from her friend.
She applied lotion to her dry skin.
Relatives.
They visited their relatives during the holidays.
Her relatives came to stay for the weekend.
Reverie.
His reverie was interrupted by a loud noise.
She was lost in a reverie during the lecture.
Rug.
The rug in the living room is very soft.
She tripped over the edge of the rug.
Apex.
Climbers finally made it to the apex of the mountain.
He reached the apex of his career after many years of hard work.
Pow.
The comic book featured a big pow in the fight scene.
He shouted "Pow" as he pretended to punch.
Underworld.
The myth talks about the underworld where souls go after death.
The movie depicted the criminal underworld of the city.
Barter.
They decided to barter goods instead of using money.
He tried to barter his old phone for a new one.
Mingle.
The flavors mingle well in this dish.
She loves to mingle at parties and meet new people.
Epic.
The epic journey took them across many lands.
The movie is an epic tale of heroism and adventure.
Legitimate.
The business deal was legitimate and fair.
He has a legitimate claim to the property.
Outlook.
Her positive outlook on life inspires others.
The economic outlook for the next year is promising.
Preponderance.
The preponderance of data supports the theory.
There is a preponderance of evidence against him.
Episode.
She missed the latest episode of her favorite show.
The book recounts a strange episode from his past.
Bracelet.
He gave her a charm bracelet for her birthday.
She wore a silver bracelet on her wrist.
Pursue.
He decided to pursue a career in medicine.
The police will pursue the suspect until he's caught.
Theoretical.
His ideas are purely theoretical at this stage.
They discuss the theoretical aspects of the problem.
Evacuee.
The evacuee found shelter in a nearby town.
Many evacuees are staying in temporary housing.
Absorb.
She tried to absorb all the information from the lecture.
The sponge can absorb a lot of water.
Irritable.
He becomes irritable when he doesn't get enough sleep.
The noise made her irritable and distracted.
Digress.
Please don't digress from the main topic.
The professor tends to digress during his lectures.
Wrought.
The fence was made of beautifully wrought iron.
His actions have wrought significant changes in the community.
Squeak.
She heard a mouse squeak in the kitchen.
The door made a loud squeak when it opened.
Volcano.
The volcano erupted with a loud roar.
They studied the lava flow from the volcano.
Hiss.
The steam from the kettle let out a hiss.
The snake made a threatening hiss.
Diminish.
The pain began to diminish after taking the medicine.
His influence in the company started to diminish.
Beaver.
They watched a beaver gnawing on a tree.
The beaver built a dam across the river.
Consensus.
The group reached a consensus on the plan.
There is a consensus that the project should continue.
Domain.
This topic falls within the domain of psychology.
The website's domain name is easy to remember.
Iris.
Her eyes were the color of a deep blue iris.
The iris flower bloomed beautifully in the garden.
Mirage.
Success seemed like a mirage, always out of reach.
The desert heat created a mirage on the horizon.
Weep.
She began to weep after hearing the sad news.
The child started to weep when he fell down.
Transcript.
He requested a transcript of the interview.
The school provided a transcript of her grades.
Pioneer.
She was a pioneer in the field of medicine.
The pioneers traveled west in search of new land.
Routine.
She performed the dance routine perfectly.
His daily routine includes a morning jog.
Luster.
The pearl had a beautiful luster.
The silverware regained its luster after polishing.
Interject.
He would often interject humorous comments into the conversation.
She tried to interject her opinion during the debate.
Thoroughbred.
The thoroughbred horse won the race.
She owns a farm with several thoroughbred horses.
Tenacious.
The vine was tenacious, clinging to the wall.
Her tenacious spirit helped her overcome challenges.
Mint.
He offered her a mint after dinner.
The coin was in mint condition.
Stalemate.
The chess game resulted in a stalemate.
The negotiations ended in a stalemate.
Astrology.
She reads her astrology horoscope every day.
They discussed the impact of astrology on personality.
Barb.
He aimed a sarcastic barb at his opponent.
The fishhook had a sharp barb.
Flour.
She used flour to bake the cake.
The kitchen was covered in flour after making bread.
Coax.
He had to coax his friend into coming to the party.
She tried to coax the cat out of the tree.
Rift.
A deep rift formed between the two friends.
The earthquake caused a rift in the ground.
Zap.
She felt a zap of electricity when she touched the metal.
He used a bug zapper to zap the mosquitoes.
Excess.
There was an excess of food at the party.
They need to get rid of the excess inventory.
Superintendent.
He spoke to the building superintendent about the repairs.
The superintendent inspected the school.
Overwork.
She started to overwork herself and became exhausted.
He warned them about the dangers of overwork.
Bramble.
She got scratched by a bramble while hiking.
The path was blocked by a thick bramble.
Priest.
The priest led the congregation in prayer.
He spoke to the priest about his concerns.
Ascertain.
She could not ascertain the source of the noise.
The detective tried to ascertain the truth.
ID.
Freud's theory explains the id as a primal part of the psyche.
He believed that his impulsive actions were driven by his ID.
Nay.
He voted nay on the proposed law.
All in favor say aye, all opposed say nay.
Ajar.
The door was left slightly ajar.
She peeked through the ajar window.
Qualm.
He felt a qualm of guilt after the argument.
She had no qualm about speaking her mind.
Tingle.
His fingers began to tingle from the cold.
She felt a tingle of excitement before the performance.
Medication.
The doctor prescribed new medication for her condition.
He forgot to take his medication this morning.
Outlet.
She plugged the charger into the outlet.
Writing became her creative outlet.
Electrify.
The performance managed to electrify the crowd.
The news will electrify the audience.
Consul.
The consul assisted the citizens abroad.
They met with the consul to discuss travel plans.
Ironed.
The wrinkles disappeared after the shirt was ironed.
She ironed her clothes before the meeting.
Motto.
Live and let live is his personal motto.
The school's motto is displayed on the wall.
Scuttle.
He had to scuttle the plan due to unforeseen problems.
The crab began to scuttle across the beach.
Boon.
The new software was a boon to productivity.
Having a car is a boon in rural areas.
Lichen.
Lichen can survive in harsh environments.
The rock was covered in green lichen.
Outgrow.
He began to outgrow his clothes quickly.
She hoped to outgrow her fear of the dark.
Suction.
The dentist used suction to remove excess saliva.
The suction from the vacuum was strong.
Raucous.
The crowd's raucous laughter filled the room.
They were woken by the raucous sound of the alarm.
L.
Press the L key to continue.
The building is shaped like an L.
Memorabilia.
He collects sports memorabilia.
The museum displayed war memorabilia.
Lexicon.
Each profession has its own lexicon.
The book added many words to his lexicon.
Supra.
The term supra is used to refer to a previously mentioned source.
The laws are discussed in the supranote.
Commemorate.
The statue was built to commemorate the hero's deeds.
They gathered to commemorate the anniversary.
Replica.
The museum displayed a replica of the ancient artifact.
He built a replica of the Eiffel Tower.
Unwieldy.
The new system was unwieldy and complicated to use.
The large box was unwieldy and hard to carry.
Slope.
They skied down the steep slope.
The roof has a gentle slope.
Enigma.
The ancient text remains an enigma to scholars.
Her sudden departure was an enigma.
Byte.
The file size is measured in bytes.
Each character in the text is stored as a byte.
Pedigree.
His academic pedigree is well regarded.
The dog has an impressive pedigree.
Wacky.
The show features a lot of wacky characters.
He wore a wacky hat to the party.
Labyrinth.
They navigated the bureaucratic labyrinth to get the permit.
The garden maze was like a labyrinth.
Paw.
The cat injured its paw.
The dog gave him a friendly paw.
Proposition.
The proposition to build a new park was approved.
She accepted his business proposition.
Crux.
The crux of the problem is communication.
He finally understood the crux of the argument.
Emit.
Factories emit pollutants into the air.
The lamp emits a soft glow.
Fraternal.
They shared a fraternal bond.
The fraternity promotes fraternal values.
Hemisphere.
The brain's left hemisphere controls language.
They traveled to the southern hemisphere.
Nuance.
She understood the nuances of the language.
His performance captured the nuances of the character.
Considerate.
She received a considerate response from her boss.
He is always considerate of others' feelings.
Flex.
He likes to flex his muscles at the gym.
The board can flex without breaking.
Jockey.
They jockeyed for position in the race.
The jockey rode the horse to victory.